a touchdown. Phillip Rivers saying, wait, the ball was going forward, and I will let you decide for yourself. He did let it go forward. You can see he had a little bit of spin on that. So that is an incomplete pass. The Colts would punt the ball. Okay, ensuing Packers possession. Aaron Rodgers dropping back in his own end zone. He lets this one.
3rd and 10.
And it is a dime. Who catches it? Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Had himself a day, but his name will come up again. Okay, 6 plays later, Aaron Rodgers, who is he looking for? This is back in the end zone, and no. That is out of bounds. Devontae Adams, incomplete pass. Take another look, though. Robert Tonyan wide open. He had and Aaron Rodgers doesn't usually miss those guys. You can see that facial expression. Let's move it into overtime after a field goal. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, who is he going to look for? Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and the ball's out. The ball is out. It was 2nd and 2, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who we love on the show, say his name quite a bit. He fumbles it. Colts, will they take advantage? Who is that? Blankenship. And Blankenship don't miss. Oh, yeah, those goggles to see 2020. And in 2020, he gets the game winner in overtime up against Aaron Rodgers. All smiles for 2 of the best quarterbacks in the business, and I will call them 2 Hall of Famers. The Colts, they win this one, 34-31, and yeah, to go 24 for 36, 288, 3 TDs, and 1 interception at 7-3. Phillip Rivers is one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Straights, let's hear from that quarterback.
It felt like a big game when we came out for warm-ups. You know, it had just a little more energy to it. And I mean, shoot, I mean, it's just, you know, Aaron Rodgers is over there. I mean, it's the Green Bay Packers. So at number, you know, the best team record-wise in the NFC. Man, to see something else. Some of those throws he made out there today. Shoot, I can't make some of those. I can make them with my mind and know where to throw them. I just can't quite throw a couple of those like he can.
Limp River, you're the best. Huge game for both squads, honestly. Indy came out with the win. They stood on top of the AFC South. I'm sure a lot of bandwagoners joining them and seeing what a tough opponent they would be. I know the Chiefs probably don't want to face the Colts here in the AFC. What stood out to you in this Colts overtime win against the Packers, Nate?
I would say the fact that there's so many individuals catching the rock. You know, I complimented Phillip Rivers towards the middle of the season. He really started to cook. And I think there's this perception of him when he played with the Chargers that he would have these highs and then these lows of lows. But he's not having that wildly inconsistent season. We're talking as of lately. And I said this a few weeks ago in November, December. You are who you're going to be in the postseason. And right now, if the postseason started, Phillip Rivers is playing well. They had, 10 or 11 guys touch the ball, catch the ball. So they target a bunch of individuals, and their defense plays well. I don't care if they didn't break. So for me, what stood out is Phillip Rivers and the guys that are around him. Could this be the most talent Phillip Rivers has surrounded himself with? I'm not saying the most talented guys. Of course, there's LaDainian Tomlinson and Gates and Keenan Allen. The list goes on and on. But I'm talking about balance. 10 or 11 dudes every single game that he can throw the ball to. And what makes that special is you have Frank Reich there that knows how to game plan for defenses. That's what was special about this win.
They look good. They're loaded. They were getting hammered early in this game, and they came back. They were down big at halftime. They fought. They battled. I just, on the other side, it was Shakespearean with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. The NFC playoffs are going to be determined by one of these Packers receivers. Whether it's Lazard or Scantling or Equinemius, one of these guys is going to decide the Packers are going to win or they're not. And Marquez, he had the night. It was his thing. He caught the huge pass over the middle. He's catching balls all over. And then you go to him in overtime, and it's just a matter of trust. And we're going to put the ball in his hands. And he just makes a huge mistake. It was a good defensive play, but also, like, the ball wasn't properly put away. It was ugly. He didn't have it where he should have. This is a mistake. This is not just a fluky play. In a big moment, Marquez fumble. Look where the ball is. That's not how you hold it. He doesn't even have it properly at all. The other hand's not over. And if you really are believing, like, the loaded psyche of Rodgers and these receivers and them trying to get over this hump, this was a big moment because we gave it to you and we trust you and you're having a day. And then he absolutely, literally fumbled it right in front of everybody in the moment where they had it. There's going to come another one of these moments in about 6 or 7 weeks where either he makes the play or he doesn't. And this day, heartbreaking if you're a Packers fan, but the Colts were the better team. Just Shakespearean tragedy from those receivers, man.
I'll double down on it. Rodgers was amazing last night, and that play was heartbreaking. And I was so curious to see what version of Rodgers we got afterwards, because here we go. We got the ball. They just get the field goal. A field goal ties it, touch it. Rodgers has this horrible fumble happen, and he's smiling, and he's upbeat. And then they asked him afterwards in his press conference about, okay, Marquez Valdes-Scantling fumbles the ball. And Rodgers has not always been a warm and cuddly teammate to younger players. Here's what he said. Here was the quote. If we could bring it up. The quote is, That's how it goes sometimes. Mistakes can happen regardless of how you practice. I was encouraged by the focus we had. I was encouraged by the defense and the confidence they were brimming with. I think we need to be an all-three-phase football team to go as far as we want to go. I still feel really good about our chances and our squad. Rodgers is not in the dumps this morning. He was upbeat. He was positive. They fought all the way back in this one. Colts had about 500 holding penalties in that second half. It was bizarre.
Weird.
Colts find a way to win. So impressed with Indianapolis. But I'm also very curious about the Rodgers story this week, and I think it started off good afterwards, speaking positively about those young receivers.
I thought the Packers were going to win in overtime, no question. The way you just described Mahomes and clutch, and like you had no doubt he was going to win, is it fair to question whether or not you can say that about Aaron Rodgers anymore?
No, because Rodgers was magnificent. That's a freak fumble
Mistake.
to me.
Yeah, so we still so is he in that club with Mahomes? And at the end, like I had no doubt. I was like,
sure.
Yeah, he did.
So excited about the Colts, and I was like, they're going to lose this game.
3rd and 10, he threw a 50-yard bomb into 4 people, and Marquez, and it's like, of course he catches it. Like, Rodgers was awesome.
And quickly, this Colts win sets up a huge AFC South situation. They've got the Titans in Week 12.
They beat them last week, right, on Thursday night. All right, we got another game. Bengals versus Washington. Let's get to the highlights. This is a weird one in the NFC East because of all the things going on with the other teams. Suddenly, Washington's a player. But the story was this man right here. Joe Burrow was playing really well in this game. 3rd and 2. Don't look at it. We don't like to glorify it. Burrow goes down. And it's it. And that's the season right there. Burrow would actually have several comments afterwards. The tweet that was everyone will see you next year. Haskins comes out on the field. Of course, they were college teammates at Ohio State. Burrow is carted off. Can't get rid of me that easy.
Chase Young was right there, too.
Chase Young was
another guy.
Another teammate of his.
Yeah.
Heartbroken. The Washington football team would then have a clutch finish here, coming back from behind, would lead themselves to victory. Alex Smith played great in the second half, but the big story was the loss of the #1 overall pick and possibly the offensive rookie of the year, Joe Burrow. A big loss for the league and a huge blow to Cincinnati and what they were trying to build here.
Let's bring in Ian Rappaport now. Rap sheet, you never want to see that. I'm rocking the Who Day sweatshirt today in honor of Joe Burrow, who already tweeted that he'll be back and you can't get rid of him that easy. Our hearts go out to him, of course, to all the Bengals fans out there. What's the latest with Joe Burrow?
Yeah, it was very clear right when the injury happened, and certainly from the reaction on the field to the players, everybody knew it was serious. Everyone knew that Joe Burrow, as you mentioned, potentially the offensive rookie of the year, and certainly someone the Cincinnati Bengals planned to build around for the next 15 years, had suffered an injury that put his 2020 season in doubt. I am told the initial diagnosis on Joe Burrow was a torn ACL. He could potentially have other damage as well in his knee, and that often happens when you have a contact ACL injury. Burrow's going to get an MRI today to confirm, but I sense no optimism as far as him potentially being back this season. As he essentially said in his tweet, expect a full recovery for the 2021 season, but obviously for Joe Burrow, a long, long road ahead. For the Bengals, it is now Ryan Finley, the 4th